And so, what would happen to your retirement if on the day you decided to call it quits, you experienced negative returns in your portfolio? Well, the industry has chosen a word to define that particular risk that we can all face, and it's called sequence of returns risk. It's one of the most dangerous risks that can have an effect on your portfolio. So, we're going to get into what it is. We'll identify an example of how it can affect you, and then we'll talk about some strategies, some solutions to protect yourself from it. My name is Jason Kennedy with the Kennedy Financial Group, and for over a decade, we have been helping educators, medical professionals, and others to create a better financial outcome. One of the ways we do so is by answering questions like this one. So let's jump into this discussion. So that risk that you could have negative returns on your portfolio right when you retire, that's called sequence of returns risk. It's the risk that the order in which you get your returns can have a detrimental effect on your retirement. Now, for some, that might be just a little bit of a foreign concept because we're used to thinking of the market in averages. So we think, well, if the market averages a certain amount, then I should be fine. And that's true when you're building up money. But everything changes when you retire because what are you going to do with that bucket of money you've built up? Well, you're going to take the money and you're going to spend it. Now, let's look at an example of how this can work. And so what you're looking at here is really like a case study. It's a real example that we're going to use to kind of highlight the different possibilities that could happen if your money's invested in the market. And so we're going to look at both Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill both have saved up $1 million. They worked hard to accumulate that money. And now they're entering retirement. And they've decided that they're going to take $50,000 from their account. Let's start with Jill. Jill is taking this $50,000 from her account each year. And that's about 5% of her overall balance. And if you notice, the first few years of her retirement, she's experiencing some positive returns, 28%, 22%, a little bit after that, -5, 20%, 19%. So because she's experiencing these positive returns, if you notice, even as she's withdrawing that $50,000, her balance is growing to the point that when she gets to retirement, all the way at the end of her retirement, let's say she lives to age 90. We're just estimating here. We know that many are living longer than that now, but we're just trying to show an example. By the time she gets to age 90 in her retirement, she has more money in this account than she started with. Now, why did this happen? Well, because she experienced positive returns in the beginning, her balance kept growing. So that even when she started experiencing those negative returns at 87, 88, 89, and 90, she had so much money, it didn't even really matter. Now, on the other hand, if we look at Jack, we're just going to reverse the order of these returns. So with Jack, same amount of money, he's going to take out the exact same amount. And if you notice, as he withdraws, he's dealing with negative returns right in the beginning. Look how quickly his balance drops. By 69, he's halfway through his money, and he's only been into retirement for about 4 or 5 years, right? You'd be a little nervous at that point. Most of us would. So as you keep going, you see that he doesn't even make it to 90 with money still in his account. By the time he's 81, 82, he's out of money, 15 years in retirement, and he's already run out of money. Now, here's why this is really interesting. He averaged 6%, just like Jill averaged 6%. And he only withdrew 5%. So he withdrew less than what he was averaging, and he still ran out of money. Now, if we could choose, most of us would choose for our retirement to turn out like Jill. But the frank reality is that we have no control over what the market will do. The market can go up and down whenever it wants. So the part we can control is we can take precautions to protect ourselves in the event that the market doesn't do what we want it to do. Okay, so let's see if we can save Jack. What could we have done to keep Jack from running out of money? Right, if we look here on the left, we can see his account. He was taking out about $50,000 a year. He ran out of money at 82. Now, what some financial advisors might recommend to help him make his money last longer is they might say, well, take less. Instead of withdrawing 50,000 a year, withdraw 40,000, 30,000 or less. This is what's called the 4% rule. Interestingly enough, there's debate about whether it should even be 4% for this very reason. Some are saying it should be 2.8%, which is $28,000. Others are saying it should be 3.5%. The point is that many recommend that in order to make your money last longer, we lower the withdrawal rate to a point where even if the market goes down, your account will hopefully be able to weather that storm, right? And while that is one approach, another approach that is, being used quite often to help a person weather the volatility that the market can bring is, instead of having all of their money, I'm going to try to draw this here. Forgive me for my horrible drawing. Instead of having all of their money in the market, they have a bucket of money that's growing in the market, and they have a safe bucket of money. When the market is doing well, they withdraw from this market bucket. But when the market is going negative, performing poorly, they take from the safe bucket so that the money inside of the market account can recover. Now, that's just an example of a strategy that a person could use. Now, what could be used as the safe bucket? Well, some people might use a home equity line of credit. Others might use a reverse mortgage, because these are assets that are not tied to market performance. Regardless of what the market does, you're not going to lose money necessarily in those assets. Another strategy that a person might use is they may use life insurance as a safe bucket. If it's designed the right way, meaning that you get the smallest amount of life insurance you can possibly get to the point where it'll represent less than 5% of what you're putting in overall, and then all of that extra money goes to cash and the insurance company can grow it. When you get to retirement, that money that has grown can be used as a safe bucket for your retirement, so that when the market is down, you can access those funds. Now, that's what we did with Jack. If you notice, because he took time to build up this safe bucket during his working years, some of his money was growing inside of that account, and some was growing inside of the stock market account. So his balance is lower. He has $700,000 in his stock account, and the other funds that would normally make up this 1 million, that's tucked away in his safe account. And let's see if using this strategy results in a different outcome for him. So if you follow along, every time the market is down, he's not going to withdraw from here. He is going to take from the safe bucket that he's set up. And as a result, even when you look just 5 or 6 years later, if you look at age 71, he has $496,000. He has more than he originally would have had, even if he had all of his money in the market. So we can already see it's helping him. By the time he gets to age 90, not only has he survived the volatility of the market by using this strategy, he has $452,000 still in his market account. And that's not all he has, because in the volatility bucket, or in the safe bucket that he has another $673,000 left in that account. Now, obviously, we couldn't assume that he would get 6% in the safe bucket that he was using. But that account has averaged, the one that we use just for this example, about 7, but we only ran it at 5.4. So even if he can get a little under 5.5% in that account, he'll be able to use it as a safe bucket for himself in retirement. So the total amount he has now at age 90, we took him from being out of money at age 83 to having 1.1 million left at the end of his retirement. Now, if he continues to live past 90, he has enough money to hopefully allow him to continue to use it for the remainder of his life and even pass some on to his family. But the point is that we stopped him from becoming a victim of sequence of returns risk. So I just wanted to take a minute to address this topic. It's not one that gets talked about often. It's kind of one of those things that we don't really hear about until we're in retirement and we're going to access our money. But now you know what sequence of return risk is, and you have an idea of what you need to do to protect yourself from it. As always, if you need my help, you can always book an appointment with me right in the link on my calendar. If you want to keep learning more about retirement and financial planning, subscribe because we're going to keep posting videos like this every week. Until next time, talk to you soon.